Hey everyone, Rick here, and folks, let me know if the music is too loud and or distracting. I just don't think, because I know it's late, wherever you are. Probably, I assume, or really early, I don't know. But it's after midnight here, Central Time, so I'm doing this on a complete whim. Um, So I don't know how many people are actually going to be in here tonight. But I was like, I could do this by myself without anybody, or I could do it live. So that's what I opted to do. Decided to go live. Folks, what this is a huge box of the latest and greatest. This is Small Business Saturday finds and deals. This looks so far away. Hal, good evening. How are you, my friend? We've got a box of stuff to go through. There's Dungeons and Dragons pre-painted figures in here. There's dice in here. There's all sorts of random stuff. Can I get this zoomed in anymore? Because of course I can. Okay, we don't want to zoom in too much. How about... not that much. Like right about, like there-ish? Because of course I want to show you guys what it looks like. And me going live just through my phone, the quality isn't the best, but I can still kind of hold up stuff. How does that look if I do this? There's like a little delay. You can kind of see what some of this stuff is. All right, folks, here we go. There is so much stuff. And I'll be honest, I didn't even go that crazy today as I have in years past, but we still have got a lot of stuff here. First off, let's just talk about these. These are from Gale Force 9. They are skull dice, and they are fantastic for two reasons. Number one, the sixes have skulls on them. And number two, nice, Hal. See, we are so in sync. But the first thing I love is that the skulls are on the sixes, because when you're rolling a handful of dice, instantly you can see, okay, the skulls mean we've just slaughtered something. But even beyond that, I love that they are the size that they are. So these are in between like your standard 12 millimeter handful of dice, Chessex dice, like the ones you get in the big brick. Those are 12 millimeter. And then the larger dice are 16 millimeter. The normal size D6 are 16 millimeters. These are like 14 mil. Awesome. Thank you, Virtual. I really appreciate that, because especially when I'm just doing it through my phone over the Wi-Fi, I get worried. But yeah, so these are 14 mil. These are right in between the size of the Chessex bricks of dice and the standard 16 mil dice, which I absolutely love. So I've condensed them. Not number 2 or number 3. I like the tins. But I bought 2 sets and I condensed them into 1. So that way I have 10 of the black. And what does that mean? I have 30 of the white? Yeah, so 30 of the white. And this one I just have empty. Nothing in that one. But I picked these up at the game shop today. There is some color disparity, like even in the tins themselves. This tin, it looks a little blacker than this tin. I know that's kind of bizarre. They stack kind of nice though. So that's the first thing. I also need some scissors. I'll be right back. I need scissors. Because we are going to be unboxing a bunch of minis as well. We can talk about these first. Look at this. So these are pre-painted figures for the game The Adventurers. And this says the Pyramid of Horus. Is that an expansion to the game The Adventurers, or is that the actual name of the game itself, The Adventurers? But I love the fact that it's a pre-painted figure expansion. Now, this came out years ago, folks. This came out 10 years ago. I go to this friendly local game store, and these were two different stores. These skull dice came from the Game Shop in Bellevue, Nebraska. This Adventurers pre-painted pack came from a store called Ground Zero Hobbies and Games in Bellevue, Nebraska. This has been sitting on their shelf for 10 years, but the Small Business Saturday thing, they had some great deals. And you know me, I'm a sword and sorcery fantasy type person, so I'm not necessarily, you know, all about these modern figures. This is a pack of 11 pre-painted figures. Now there's 3 mummies in there. Let me take them out of here, because as you can see, if you see the packaging, it is very like sun damaged. It's been there forever. Now when we take this plastic off though, the figures themselves are in fantastic shape. But I do some I do a little bit of modern gaming here and there, and I just enjoy, you know, the fact that they had a pre-painted set of figures like this was pretty awesome. Brain, how are you? You are not too late at all, because I've only been streaming for like not even 7 minutes. But I know this is a late one. But I just got back from a game night, and some of you will be happy to know, Brain, probably you as well. I talked to my friend Mike. We were playing Dicey Depths over at Ground Zero Bellevue, and I said, Mike, would you be interested in ever doing a live game session? And he said, oh yeah, for sure. So maybe next weekend we'll do an actual live gaming session, whether that be Dicey Depths or something else. I also picked up, and I've already taken this one out of the package, but I haven't taken this one out yet. This is a 100 card deck box, very generic. I just got a clear one. It has a little divider in it as well, but you know I made those custom cards for Dicey Depths, so I just needed a little deck box to put them in, so there's that. So we've got dice, we've got these modern miniatures, because some of these figures have guns and stuff, so they're pretty much modern. But then I also picked up a 100 count case. I also picked up an 80 deck box, 80 card deck box. I picked up a couple sleeves because I'm going to be sleeving this game. If any of you saw, actually I don't think I did it on YouTube. I did it on Twitch. I would love to get my Twitch stream up and running, but I don't know how to do that. But I've tried, every once in a while I try to stream something on Twitch. But I unpunched My Farm Shop and Fantastic Factories on Twitch, and I ran out of card sleeves, so I haven't sleeved this game yet, but tonight I am going to sleeve this game. Friendly, hello, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, everyone's here, and I thought no one would be here because of how late it is. But I did pick up some sleeves to sleeve My Farm Shop. That will come later. Look at this. This was one of my favorite things I got today. Small Business Saturday. I picked up the Golden Girls dice set. Can you believe it? Golden Girls dice. A set of 6d6. First of all, I love the Golden Girls. I absolutely love the Golden Girls. So they had a Golden Girl dice set. Now, I will be honest. So I'm mixing the stuff up here. I'm not saying exactly where everything came from, which store it came from. But I really just went to 2 stores here in Bellevue, Nebraska, the Game Shop and Ground Zero Bellevue. The Game Shop had no deals for Small Business Saturday. I just stopped by there, to get a little something. I needed to get these sleeves. I needed to get a deck box. I got these skull dice and these Golden Girls dice. But later on, I went to my old stomping grounds. Brain, I know, right? I got some Seinfeld ones like this too. Like all these old sitcoms have these dice. Cult classics. Sean, how are you doing, my friend? Glad to see you. So then I went to Ground Zero Bellevue. This is a game store that's been there for decades. And 20 years ago, I was playing Mage Knight. You can kind of see some of the booster packs of my Mage Knight booster display back there. And that's where it all started for me. Ground Zero Bellevue, that's where I got my first Dwarven Forge resin set. Believe it or not, they used to sell resin Dwarven Forge sets in stores 20 years ago. And that's where I also started to get into Mage Knight, the collectible miniatures game, not the board game. And the same guy who managed the place 20 years ago is still there today. And so, I still stop in there from time to time. Folks, let me tell you, he absolutely hooked me up. Where is it? Over here. You are not going to believe this. He gave this to me. Brain, I actually want the new Hero Quest. Now, I will say this. I did not do the crowdfunding thing. I should have, honestly, because there's that exclusive figure that you could only get by crowdfunding it. And now, of course, I'm someone who's like, I got to have it all. And now if I want to get it, I have to get it third party. But it looks very cool. Of course, I'd have to get someone to commission paint the figures for me. But look at this. Look at this. Dave from Ground Zero Bellevue. This is an old and this is a metal figure. He painted this himself years ago because I was there, and this whole box of stuff is stuff I picked up from him, and I was like, do you have any other figures? Because he knows that I'm not a big fan of painting. And I said, do you have any painted figures that you might want to sell to me? And he went back into the bowels of his collection and pulled out this beholder, and he said, Rick, I know this would be in good hands if I gave this to you. So just on a whim, I stopped by this place and I pick up a bunch of stuff, and he gives me this metal beholder he had painted years ago. Yes, old school. So now I definitely want to use this as a villain in, the next Dicey Depths adventure. But how freaking cool is that? Now, I will say I didn't stop by there on a total whim because a friend of mine was there earlier today, and I'll show this to you also because this is a D20. Serious Dice makes 20-sided dice with like a snow globe effect in the middle, where there's like a core of liquid and glitter and confetti, and they had multiple sizes of these. Any old Ralph Partha figures? Yes, absolutely. I have some fantastic ones. We'll have to go on like a little tour. But before we look at the old figures, look at this. So they had some much bigger ones than these, but I don't know how well you can actually see that on camera. Hopefully you can kind of tell the middle of this D20 is like a snow globe of glitter and confetti. And when you roll the thing, it really, really shakes it all up inside. It is so freaking cool. But anyway, so a friend of mine went there and he took a picture of one of the big ones. Yes, I love this. And I was like, well, now I'm going to have to stop by there. So I stopped by there, And I ended up picking up all this stuff, and I ended up having a game night there. Like, that was on my bucket list, is to take Dicey Depths on the road. So I got it all, I have it all in big old tubs, and I put it in the truck, and I drove to Ground Zero Bellevue. We had a fantastic game night. And for those of you just joining, I was talking during the game night, I was like, would you mind if we did one of these games live in the future? And the answer was yes. So hopefully we'll be able to do that live. All right, so what else is in here? Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff in here. I picked up 2 more sets of dice. These dice are freaking awesome. I know, I don't know how well it is balanced, but it's freaking, it looks cool as heck. Yeah, I know, exactly. I ended up with this whole box because he gave me an amazing deal. And of course, we talked for like an hour. We talked about business and everything. And so, yeah, it was just awesome. But I picked up 2 sets of dice. And I don't know, I won't go into like a whole bunch of detail, but these specific dice, I have larger ones of that I had gotten years ago when I first got into Warhammer Fantasy, and I used the bigger, the 16 mil size of these same color dice as my Magic dice during the Magic phase of Warhammer Fantasy 8th edition. And then I saw these in the 12 mil version, so I picked those up. These I just thought looked like blood. Like just straight up, they're all different colors and shades. And it just looks like liquid and dried blood. And I was like, okay, those look really cool. So I picked up a couple of those. Oh my gosh, all this stuff. We'll talk about this in a second. I also picked up this figure because who was I talking to? I was talking to Nathan, who added me on Facebook. He was watching the channel, and he messaged me on Facebook, and he said, Rick, he was the one, I was telling Brain this the other day, he was the one who messaged me, and he's like, would you ever do like a Zoom game session with someone, like, him and his wife apparently wanted to do Dicey Depths through Zoom with me. And I said, yeah, that'd be cool. And we were talking about other different character classes also, and Druid came up. And I thought, how cool would it be to do a Druid character class where their special ability was prior to every combat, they roll the equivalent of a tier 1 monster, which is actually a companion, an animal companion. So their special trait is that before every combat, they get to roll up the equivalent of a tier 1 monster as an animal companion to also assist them in battle. And so doing that, I was like, I don't have a whole lot of miniatures that would be good as druids. So that was something else I picked up at Ground Zero Bellevue today, was this pre-painted, of course, as always, WizKids Dungeons and Dragons human, oh no, it's elf. This is an elf druid. But it looks fantastic because it looks exactly like what I was thinking about in the game. And like she's conjuring this animal companion in her hand. It looks awesome. The company makes Rubik's Cubes out of magnets and D6 dice. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? A Rubik's Cube made out of magnets and dice? That is sweet. I'm going to have to look that up. Where do we go next? I've already started unboxing some of this. And this is when I started unboxing this stuff and I said, hold on. I should record this. I should either record it or just do it live. And I ended up deciding to do it live. But look at this. Oh my gosh. So who here remembers Dungeons and Dragons Attack Wing? So you remember Star Wars Attack Wing? They had Star Trek Attack Wing. What other Attack Wings did they have? They at one time had a Dungeons and Dragons Attack Wing. It didn't last too long. And this game shop this Ground Zero Bellevue, I've walked past their remaining stock of this stuff 1,000 times. And I said, you know what? They're pre-painted figures, so why not pick them up? But at the time, like a single figure, like this Harpy, $15 MSRP. And I'm like, 15, of course it comes with all kinds of tokens. There's like a thick pouch in here full of punch-out counters and tokens. Like this single figure is a whole tabletop gaming expansion. So it's not just the figure, it's a whole bunch of material with it to justify the $15 price point. However, it's such an old game. When did this even come out? 2015? 2014, 7 years ago, Attack Wing came out. I cannot believe it's been 7 years. That seems insane. Attack Wing came out, and I at the time, I pretty much got one of everything, because of course I did. It was pre-painted, and they had all these little promos, and we'll take a look at this in a little bit too. So I collected all the stuff for it, all the chase figures and everything, tournament prizes. So I already have all of these, but you know I love just collecting pre-painted figures, but I'm not going to pay $15 for a single Harpy just because it's a pre-painted figure. However, because of how old this stuff was, it was first of all half off, and then he gave me another half off of that, so it was 75% off. So this $15 Harpy became a $7.50 Harpy, which became a $3.75 Harpy. A $3.75 Harpy, I can absolutely do that all day and night. And I did that several times because I ended up getting 3 of them. I told him, I said, at these prices, and I didn't even know he was going to do that, to be honest. I just figured they were half off because they were marked half off. I told him I was going to clear him out of this stuff. Honestly, I'll be honest, Brain, I'm not a big superhero fan. Marvel, DC, whatever the case may be. I haven't seen any of the movies, and I haven't read the comics. I don't really have any superhero-related games, though I don't know if you can... You can't see it over here. A friend of mine gave me a copy of Thanos Rising, the board game, which looks fun, but I'm not a big superhero fan. Right? 75% off. So 3 Harpies. So those were $3.75 a piece. I also picked up 3 Wyverns. I've already unboxed one, and here are the other 2. And these were $20 MSRP for this. I mean, it looks really cool, right? But this is all I care about. I don't care about... Here's what also comes with it. There's a whole pile here of cards and punch-out tokens and counters and stuff, which is why one Wyvern ends up being $20. But I don't want to pay $20. $5? Yeah, I'll pay $5. Oh, there he goes. $5? Are you kidding me? I will absolutely pay $5 for that, for a pre-painted Wyvern. So I did, and I did 3 times. Now this base, honestly, this base is a little bit too big for my taste. Of course, the whole reason for that, I know the stands are great, and you can set them to whatever height you want. And as we'll look at in a second, this base, though, is too big, but they make smaller ones. But here's the reason for it. Let me get up close. So here is the Wyvern. Very cool looking fig on its own. And it comes with the plastic stand. So he can actually, there we go. So he's secure. Look how tall he is. And of course you can make this much smaller too. But the whole reason for it being the base this big is so you could put this template on here if you're actually playing Dungeons and Dragons Attack Wing, and it has its stats, it has its movement attributes and all that stuff. So that's why the stand is this big. But there are smaller stands, which is what I want, because I'd like to use these at about this height, just on a regular on a regular base for Dicey Depths. And you know, I think he may have had 4 of these, but I only grabbed 3 because if you've watched any of my Dicey Depths stuff, you know that you could encounter 2 different tiers of monsters, a tier 1 or a tier 2. Tier 1 monsters are weaker, but there's more of them. There can be up to 6 of them. Whereas a tier 2 monster are stronger, but there's fewer of them. There can be up to 3 of them. So here we go. You can have 3 wyverns. You can have 3 harpies, which is exactly why I got 3 of each of those. The harpies were $3.75 a piece. The wyverns were $5 a piece. I picked up, this was the only one of these, which is, and I don't know what the heck this actually is. In Dungeons and Dragons, it's called a Movanic Deva Angel, whatever that means. But it looks like a cool angel, like an angelic fighter. But again, this one figure was $15 MSRP. 75% off, it was like $3.75, under $4. So I absolutely grabbed one of those. This was a promo figure, and for the life of me, I've never heard this before. If any of you out there know, in Dungeons and Dragons, I thought this was a griffin. This is not a griffin. This is called a Hieracosphinx. All one word, Hieracosphinx. It's like it has the head and beak of like a raven and the body of a griffin, or you know, some kind of sphinx apparently. But it is very cool, and they had one of these. This was like not a chase figure, but like a tournament prize or participation thing. So it did not come in a pack like this. It came packaged with its tokens and stuff, just wrapped in plastic. But he still had one of these. And of course, back in the day when I bought all this stuff originally, I still have it. But I wanted to keep the stuff that I originally bought for Attack Wing on its own. It's all nicely boxed up, and I have it all in plastic tubs. But this stuff I wanted to use for other purposes, specifically for Dicey Depths. So that's that. He gave me all of these Dungeons and Dragons Attack Wing promos. I'm pretty sure I have all these because back in the day I also got pretty much all of these from him. But maybe not, I don't know. There's a whole bunch here. These are all just more cards and punch out tokens and counters. I'm telling you folks, he hooked me up today with the deals. But look at this. Look at all these punch out tokens and dials and status tokens and things that are falling out. And all these cards. All these different item cards. How long have I been collecting? I'll be honest. Back in the day when I was like, you know, of course, I don't want to go into my whole life story and bore you guys, but, you know, obviously when you're a kid, you play Monopoly and Sorry and Uno and all that stuff. And then I found Mage Knight collectible miniature figures that blew my mind. That was like in 2001, so that was 20 years ago. And I dabbled in that for a couple years, and then I kind of dropped tabletop gaming entirely, did not pick it back up until late 2009. And so I've been collecting for about 10 or 11 years now. Seriously collecting all that stuff. And I got back into the hobby in 2009 when I found Agricola, the board game, the Euro game Agricola. And it blew my mind that there was this whole new world of designer board games. And that got me back into board games, which also kind of got me back into miniatures games. And so I got a whole bunch of Dwarven Forge stuff, and I've been collecting miniatures and stuff for quite a while. And believe me, I could do a whole video just on that, which I'm sure you guys know for, you know. But there's all these cards here, these promos, which again, I think I probably have these. But since he saw that I was cleaning him out of the Attack Wing stuff, he threw these in too just to get rid of them. Thank you so much, Friendly Voice. I appreciate that. And we're getting close, folks, to the 2022 Game Room Tour. Can you even believe that? But here's the next thing, and you're not going to believe this. So this is also Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing. This is a 6-pack. And again, here's some, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pronounce this. They're called Eric Okra. Aarakocra troopers. They are like humanoid bird fighters. I'm sure someone who's familiar with Dungeons and Dragons knows what an Aarakocra trooper is. But this is a 6-pack. It is a 6-pack of these figures, and we're going to cut this open, and I'll show you the bases for these guys are not as big as this. And these are the bases that I love. But this was $24.99 MSRP. So they were essentially, there's 6 of them here. So they were about, what, $4 a piece. 4 times 6 is 24. So they were $4 and change a piece MSRP. And I would have been cool with that as it is. But they were half off. So they were actually $2 a piece. And then he reduced it again by another half of that. So it was like $1 and change. $1 and change per figure? Are you kidding me? I'm not even like, I'm not even going to use this for Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing. This is just straight up 6 pre-painted fantasy figures for $1 and change a piece. And these aren't the cheap, crappy painted ones that you can find on Amazon. These are like WizKids, and I know quality is subjective. There's people who don't like the WizKids pre-painted figures either. I personally have no problem with them. Pre-painted, decent quality figures for $1 and change a piece. Are you kidding me? Game House Tour. Last year, when I did the 2021 one, I actually started on my main level because I have a bunch of stuff up there. I have my whole Battlefields of Mana cabinet full of, my 1100 painted figures up there, and I have my Warhammer Fantasy Wood Elf army is up there. So I almost have to, go floor by floor through the house because the gaming stuff is definitely expanded beyond that. I know I know some people want to get in and get out, but some people do care about the details, which is why I'm, debating, do I do 2? Do I do a quick one and then I do a more thorough one? Or do I do one video but do like an overview of everything first, like take 5-ish minutes and run around and do a quick view of everything first, and then start back from square one and then do a more thorough, detailed review of everything. Yeah, oh my gosh, and I have known him for 20 years. I can't believe it's been 20 years since I was like 12 years old. Going there for Mage Knight collectible miniatures games. If any of you are familiar with Mage Knight, yeah, it was like HeroClix. It was prior to HeroClix, because they all had the Clix dial. They started with Mage Knight, which was just a generic fantasy tabletop miniature battle game where all the stats for the figures were on the dials, and then they expanded to superheroes with HeroClix. Even for a time they had Mech Warrior with mechs and all sorts of things on a Clix dial. That was really cool. But yeah, so look at all this. Can you believe it? But we're not done yet because there's even more exciting things in here. Here's even more of these promos. All right. He gave me a Mage Knight. Now, can you believe that? We've been talking about Mage Knight. Mage Knight, the collectible miniature battle game. All the figures were pre-painted. They all came on these dials. Let's do a close-up of this. So these are freaking amazing. back in the day, this absolutely blew my mind. Hopefully you can kind of see there's stats in there. The top stat is a boot. That's how many inches it moves. Then there's a sword. That's what its attack value is. Defense value. Over down here is how much damage it does and how long its range is. Then it has the name, so Living Ballista. And this one actually has two different point values. So you could take a heavy version of it and it just starts at the normal starting spot for the dial. But if you want a slightly cheaper version, you can actually do 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3, and then it starts a little bit weaker, but it is cheaper. And now this is a big version. The normal infantry have a dial like about a quarter of the size of this dial, but this was a big old figure. And he must have just had this lying in the back somewhere, and he just threw it into the box with everything else. And I was like, heck yes, that takes me back. Can you believe it? 2002 is when this figure came out. 19 years ago? Are you kidding me? All right, but this is so cool. So again, in Dungeons and Dragons Attack Wing, they had promo figures. You know, Whiz Kids, they love to do promo figures. Hero Clicks, they do promos, tournament rewards and prizes. So this is the kind of box that these promos came in, and this was something else that he just gave me. And this is awesome. It is just a single figure. Let me show this off as well. So here it is. It's an archer. And I mean, look at all the stuff. So this shows you in the game, look at how much stuff, extra stuff comes with these figures. It comes with a whole bunch of punch-out tokens for different status effects and whatnot. There's its unit little base token. And here's all these cards. So it came with all these cards. And here's what it was. It was a human ranger. And if you remember any of the Attack Wing stuff, you know, you turn the dial. Yeah, this is called Dungeons and Dragons Attack Wing. I can't believe it's been 7 years since this came out. It came out from WizKids. Everything's pre-painted. Dungeons and Dragons Attack Wing. There's all different kinds of figures. Of course, being Attack Wing, a lot of the units were in flight. So you can imagine dragons. There were all kinds of dragons. That's what it was kind of sold as. The starter set gave you 3 dragons that would battle it out in the air, just like the Star Wars Attack Wing stuff. You know, you'd have a dial and you would turn it. Everyone would turn their movement dial in secret, and it would have a certain amount of spaces it moved and a direction it moved, and everyone would turn their dial to their maneuver, and they'd all simultaneously reveal them, and then their figure on the battlefield would move in that orientation. And you know, if it had a ranged attack or whatever, it would fire. But in addition to dragons and other aerial units, there were ground units as well, like this human ranger. And here's the human ranger's base. So as you can see, you could use it. It was on just a regular base anyway. You know, if you wanted to use this figure for Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing or whatever you wanted to do. But it also had an Attack Wing base, and this base was so you could put that, where is it, this thing, pop out its little template here and put it inside of this clear base, and that way you'd have all of its stats and attributes and whatnot. So that's really cool. But that was a little promo guy that he gave me. Now I have to see if I can find all the stuff I dropped. There were all these little tokens. As you could see, the tokens were super easy to punch out. But yeah, so I was so thrilled with that because, you know, again, I wanted to keep all of my Attack Wing stuff separate. because in case I wanted to play Attack Wing, I didn't want all my Attack Wing figures, you know, spread out here and there in my Dicey Depths box, in other boxes. So I put them all in the Attack Wing box. So then you know, when I picked up all these miniatures today, you know, these are duplicates of ones that I already have, but yeah. So I can use these guilt-free, essentially. All right, but that isn't everything, because we also have the Tree Ant. Look at this. This is a Dungeons & Dragons pre-painted figure from the Icons of the Realms Monster Menagerie. Do you remember multiple sets of pre-painted Dungeons & Dragons figures ago? The set was called Monster Menagerie. And this was one of the premium figures or something like that. Sometimes if you bought like a brick or a case, you'd be eligible to buy the premium set incentive or whatever the case may be. And so he's had this sitting around for a while too. I think he even gave me half off of this because you're not going to believe this. This was $40. I don't know if you can see that. It was $40. And I'm like, no wonder this thing had just been sitting on the shelf. $40 MSRP. Even at 20 bucks, that seemed a little high. But I don't have one of these. This is one that I absolutely did not have. And here it is. And when you take it out of the box, it's actually much bigger than it looked inside of the box. So here's a Tree Ant, and it's a pretty nice looking one. It has, you know, its beard, and it has some foliage and mushrooms growing on the legs. But yeah, it looks really cool. And I mean, I was just in a pre-painted figure mood, so I grabbed that guy as well. All right, so that is everything that I picked up from Small Business Saturday today. So for those of you who've stuck around this long, I appreciate it. Yeah, Friendly, I thought so too. Right? Well, the funny thing is, after I bought all this stuff, I said my goodbyes to him, and then about an hour later, I was right back in the store again because my friend Mike said, you know, I had texted him earlier in the day. I was like, Mike, you want to do a game night tonight? And then I went out and did all this shopping, and by the time I got home, then he said, yeah, let's do it. And I said, hey, you want to meet me at Ground Zero? And he said, yes. So I was right back at the store like an hour later, and we played Dicey Depths there for about 3 hours or so. I know, it was awesome. And he wants to, and it's mostly a comic shop. It's mostly comics, and I'm not really into comics, but he does have a small selection of board games and an even smaller selection of miniatures. And I mean, all this stuff right here was probably about 75% of the miniatures he had left. There were still some giants. There was a stone giant, a frost giant, I think a couple more of these. But I got pretty much everything I wanted. But now, for the rest of this stream, I'm just going to be unboxing all this. So I understand if some of you, I appreciate all of you who've been here this long, but the rest of this may not be as exciting as the as what I kind of think the first part of it was, because now I'm literally going to crack all this open. I want to get the figures out of here, and I guess I'm just going to box up all these cards and tokens and stuff, because I don't want to get rid of that stuff, but I really have no real need for it. But also, I want to sleeve the My Farm Shop game with those new sleeves that I got. But here we go. First of all, I'm going to crack open this. This is the Movanic Deva Angel, whatever that is. I have no clue in Dungeons & Dragons what one of those is. But it looks like a cool angelic fighter, so that's why I picked one up. Very cool. And now I can also show you the size of this base. Yes, Hal, thank you so much for swinging by. It's always great to see you, my friend. Awesome. Friendly. So, when it comes right down to it, this thing was $15, essentially just for this. This is all I really wanted was this right here, this angelic little fighter, 15 bucks. And so obviously the significant discount made it worthwhile. But look at this base. This base is much more palatable. Of course, I wish it was even maybe a little bit smaller than that, but this will work fine. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's all attached. This goes right up in the bottom here somewhere. It has a flat side. It goes like right here. Somehow. Flat side. Where is the flat side? I can barely see it. All right, like right here. There we go. All right, now let's take a look at this. So here is this angel. Look at that. Doesn't that look actually kind of cool, this angelic fighter? And here is the base. And so you can see this smaller base is much more palatable. Look at this wyvern base. It is absolutely massive. I wish I wish I had extras of these bases, and I may have them. And that just works. I mean, this is like a quarter of the size. Awesome, Friendly. That's so good to hear. I absolutely love hearing that. That's awesome. And I mean, I've played it how many times now? And honestly, I still love it. I just played it again tonight. It was fantastic. And I love coming up with new monsters and new heroes and abilities. So now I'm going to have to come up with something for this guy. He's really cool. And these guys... How cool are these? But look at this. Can you believe this? So in the actual Attack Wing game, these crazy things, just like in Star Wars Attack Wing, would be moving and maneuvering and, you know, swooping in and attacking through the skies. Very cool, but now let's open this big pack. I don't know how in the world I was able to pronounce it the way that I was. Aarakocra. A 6-pack of Aarakocra Troopers for like $1 and change a piece. It's absolutely insane. So... And this comes with all kinds of stuff. Look at this. It even comes with terrain in here. But here is the money right here. Oh my gosh. Look at these guys. 6 Aarakocra Troopers with bases and everything. Oh my gosh. Fantastic. Here's one out of the packaging. I don't know how well you can see it from this distance, but... They're perfect scale. They're just the typical 28 mil scale figures, so they're perfect for any kind of gaming. So if you can find any of these Attack Wing figures on sale, scoop them up because the sculpts are fantastic. The paintwork is tabletop quality for sure. And here's a little pack of the bases. And these are gonna be great. So let's dump this out. I want to put all these together right now. And then I'll figure out what to do with them later. So they all get 3 of these stands tall. And these all go with the flat side down. So it's just like that. See, I think 3 tall is a little bit too tall for me. When I actually use these in a game, I don't think I'm going to have them be 3 cylinders tall, because look how tall that is. Now, of course, when you're talking about combat in the sky, yes, that looks really good for combat in the sky as the game was intended. But when my whole reason for wanting these is to have them fighting on the ground, how does just one look? Just one! Honestly, just one. Does that not look good right there? Honestly, just one high is all that I really want when he's battling someone on the ground. But he is elevated a bit, but not a whole bunch. So I think that that looks fantastic just on one. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put all of these just on a single peg with the flat side down. And this is going to introduce something new to Dicey Depths for me, because this is the first... Of course, I have griffins and dragons and whatnot in Dicey Depths, but I want to do a whole new mechanic based around flight. And I could do like a whole scenario just of figures in the air. Can you see these? Look at this. I love this. And this will be a tier 1 fighter. Don't those look so good? These are going to just be tier 1 fighters, which is why there can be up to 6 of them. And actually, you know what? I should say that I played 2 games of Dicey Depths today, because I played 1 game with my friend Mike at Ground Zero, and we got into the second room and we died. Can you believe it? We absolutely perished. Because we only did 2 heroes. I said, you know what? I bet we could get through this dungeon with just the 2 of us. And we absolutely could not. We got through the first room okay, but the second room, my friend Mike ended up getting killed. So I didn't want to, continue on my own. So I said, all right, well, let's start over. And we brought in a 3rd character. And now that we're doing the Dicey Depths advanced stuff with the new room cards, one of the rooms we discovered was a prison with dungeon cells, and we found a prisoner who we released and joined us. So actually we had 4 characters. Mike's character was the ranger. My main character was the knight. Our 3rd character was a wizard. And then we also had this prisoner companion. It was a tier 2. It was a prisoner that we mocked up as a tier 2 warrior with no special ability. And that prisoner did a lot of damage. We rolled that prisoner up as a tier 2 monster, and it was very strong. Of course, it only had 6 health points. No, I know. I'm telling you, we could not do... I thought we could with 2, but no, we could not. My friend Mike... Hey, my character may have been able to do it, but Mike, nope, his character just could not do it. Alright, so I have all these packs of stuff that I'm going to put to the side. I wish I had a trash can. Maybe I'll use this box as a temporary trash can. Because now look at all this plastic. All this plastic. Here's this human archer. Is that what it is? A human ranger. Oh my gosh, how cool is that? See how perfect that looks? The scale of the human ranger next to the mid-flight warrior. Oh, or those warriors. Oh, that looks so good. But all this stuff, I'm throwing this away. I don't need any of this. And I don't need this or this. I always save these baggies, though, because you never know when you can use baggies. And that, I don't think I need this box. I don't need any of this. And I'm gonna start making a pile of these extras. And we'll put those off to the side as well. And this is garbage, and these are garbage, and this is garbage. Nice! See how much nicer things look when you actually pick up a little bit here and there? Alright. So, now we gotta open up the rest of this stuff, but before I do, let me just do something here real fast. Okie doke. Post that. I don't want to create a new post. I'd rather just create a new story. Am I able to do that through this? No, I don't want to do that. What is all this? Oh, yeah. No, that's fine. I guess we don't have to do that right now. All right, so now let's unbox some of these. I also want to unbox these harpies too. All right, so more wyverns though, but as you can see, like, look at this. All right, whoops. So I don't need this guy to be this tall, so I can remove some of this. And then he's more like this tall, which is perfect, right? There's another token. But look how big these bases are for these guys. That's too big. But the problem is, I don't think that they can have a smaller base. Because the cylinders that they're on are bigger. But that's okay, I guess. I mean, does that look kind of stupid? Look how big that base is. What if this guy? I don't know, that looks kind of cool. I'll put these off to the side. Alright, so next up we have another wyvern. So we have 3 of these, because these are going to be tier 2 monsters in Dicey Depths. In case you're wondering why I have this band-aid on, Dr. Pepper betrayed me today. Oh, you heard that right. I was just reaching in innocently for a can of Dr. Pepper, and the cardboard box of the 12-pack gave me a deep paper cut. And it wasn't just one of those skin-deep paper cuts. It actually did draw blood. I've never been treated that poorly by Dr. Pepper before in my entire life. But what can you do? Now these guys are the trickiest things to get out of this plastic container, because part of their wings are poking up through it. But I love them. I love these guys. But here we go. So Again, these are kind of big bases. I don't know, is this too tall? Should it actually be even smaller than this? How does this look on here? Is this upside down or what? Why is this not going in? Oh, like this. Is that too tall? Should it be even shorter than that? No, that's too short. Doesn't that look too short? So let's pop it up a little bit higher. Because he almost looks like he's just standing on the ground at that point. Okay, good. All right, there is Wyvern number 2. And here is all of this stuff that we are going to pop back into the bag. And save our plastic bags for later, because you know we always need some little component baggies for tokens and other things. But we don't need this. All right, or these. Okay, next up, another Wyvern. Did I already start cutting into this one? I don't know, but it looks like it's already been cut. Okay. So yeah, I think they still had like 3 of them back at the store, but, or no, 2. They still had 2 left. So we're saving that, but getting rid of this. But I only needed 3 because for my tier 2 figures, you can only have, in Dicey Depths, a tier 2 means there is a max amount of 3 of them. What is hold up here? Okay, there we go. Oh, so it did kind of pain me to leave 2 behind because, you know, I don't know who would ever buy them. Oh, no, you're fine. I'm just glad anyone's here, period. I mean, it's already 1:20 a.m. here in Bellevue. When I got back, so after our game night, we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, where I absolutely stuffed my face. And then the plan was to just come home and do, and just like get on PS4. Oh God, that does not fit very well. This one I may have to end up gluing. Yeah, I'll have to glue that. But there you go, there's all 3 Wyverns. But yeah, the plan was to come home and just get on PS4, but I was like, no, I want to unbox all this stuff, because if I don't unbox it now, look how good that looks. Does that not look like an amazing, like, army of figures? And can you believe it? These were just sitting there. They've been sitting there for, what did we say, 7 years. Sean, you saw that on Instagram? Yes. I mean, did you see all those wings? Now, all the wings were my friend Mike's. He gets the 30 wings. I don't know how he puts it all away. He almost finished all of them. He finished over 2/3 of them, but that other thing was mine. That sampler, it has wings, nachos, cheese sticks, onion rings. I was like, oh my gosh. Every time me and him have a game night, we always go to Buffalo Wild Wings immediately afterwards. I think he's used to go back tomorrow and pick up something. Do not encourage me, because that is exactly what I will do. I'll go there and I'll be like, well, I didn't pick anything up today. Or, you know, I can find another... I can always mentally find a reason to pick up more figures. I did not. I ate about half of mine. I ate half of the sampler. My friend Mike ate 2/3 of his wings. That picture I posted was both of us. Don't for a second think that that was all me. No way. I couldn't even eat all of the sampler. I only ate about half of it. But it was so good. It always is. It always is. All right, we are now moving on to the harpies. Oh, I was so excited for these. This is going to be a whole new type of figure in Dicey Depths. And I can't wait to come up with some kind of ability for them. I want them to have some kind of charm ability where if they successfully wound a hero, that hero for the next turn can't attack the harpy back because they've been charmed. I think that'll be pretty cool. Or something similar. Something similar to that. But look at this. Oh my gosh. So I think we're just going to do one high on her also. Now what does she have? How do you even... Where's her peg go? Am I missing something? Where is the harpy's peg? Oh my gosh, I cannot find it. Oh, there it is. Wow, so she's like really swooping down. Are you kidding me? How does that even go? Like this? No way. Is that really how that goes? Look at this. That can't be right. She's like facing straight down. Oh my gosh, I know. I don't know if they'll be ready up. Casa, how are you? Belgium? Oh my gosh, good morning. That cannot be right. That hole for the harpy, that she's like facing straight down if that's the case. Is that really right? Maybe it is. I don't know. Or maybe it's at an angle. Something like this. I don't know. Does that look right? I mean, it still looks cool either way. But, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Just open the next one and see if it's similar to this. I thought it would be more like, kind of more up, but it looks more like she's swooping that way. But we'll see. We shall see. Alright, next harpy. Look at this. I love this whole army of almost entirely flyers. Isn't that the funny thing? I mean, of course, Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing is all about battles in the sky, but they definitely had some ground dwellers as well. But these, all the ones that were left, they didn't have a single ground unit left, apart from this promo that he gave me for free, which absolutely was not like for sale. It was somewhere behind the counter. All right, this one, the whole looks a little bit different actually. It looks similar but different. So let me see. What is the shape of this? Something, well, I'm gonna open its own. I'm gonna open its own little base. Okay, so with this and this, it looks like the flat part goes that way. Is that right? Maybe, maybe not. That is so crazy to me. Oh, did we get it finally? Yeah, she is doing more of a swooping pose. Like this. Here it is. This is the official harpy pose. And honestly, I think that looks pretty good. We have 3 of her, so she's also going to be a tier 2. Alright. Now I just got to get the original one back on. Now, does it go that way or does it go this way? I think it goes that way. Alright, there we go. Boom, look at that. We have 2 harpies done. And now we just have 1 more. And then we are going to sleeve my farm shop. And then we can call it a night. Look at all this material. Well, let's also get this guy out of here too. While we have our trash box. So here's our treant. I'm trying to think if I have any other treants. I don't think so. I think this is the only one I have. Look at this. This is a big base. How long ago was this? This was 5 years ago. This guy came out 5 years ago. Can you see that? Okay, through the camera. 5 years ago, this guy came out. Very cool. He has like 4 arms. And moss and stuff growing all over him. But $40? $40 5 years ago. $40. That seems insane. And look at this. He even comes with a little accessory. He comes with a little rock, a little stone that he could throw. Does this fit into his hand somehow? Oh, maybe this hand down here that's kind of closed. Yeah, he can carry the stone. That's kind of cool, right? But thankfully it was half off, so it was not $40 today. Okay, next. Now we can get rid of this box. I don't know, now I kind of want to keep this box. I know. I'm kind of a hoarder. But since this guy was somewhat collectible, and he's kind of big, do I keep him in this box? No, Rick, don't keep him in the box. Don't keep him in the box. I kind of want to keep him in the box. Does it really? Yeah, that makes sense. Can you believe it? It was just sitting on the shelf. And I was like, you know what? I don't have one of these. And it looks really, it actually does look really cool. But I don't need the box. I keep telling myself, Rick, if you don't keep the box. Look at all these promo packs though. He just threw these in with the order, with the purchase, all this stuff. All right, we have one more Harpy to unbox. And I also want to unbox this other little figure I got too. There's so much stuff coming out. So many cool figures. But these figures are from how long ago? Look at all this other stuff I forgot about. Oh my gosh. I do have another base. Because I was going to say, I actually do have another little base. But again, the poles and stuff are not going to fit one of those other figures. All right. Here we go. Harpy. How cool does this look? Look at this. Does this not look so cool? I love seeing a bunch of painted figures all together. Can you see my castle in the background? You can kind of see the castle. Did any of you see my I think it was a YouTube short that I posted. I also posted it on Instagram and TikTok. But that castle's the whole new backstory for the latest Dicey Depths adventure. Baron Clawfang, that is I don't know if you knew this, that is the fortress of Baron Clawfang. And the backstory there is that centuries ago, I mean, you can't blame Baron Clawfang for the mess that he inherited. He inherited a fortress with a curse. Because centuries ago, the original commander of the fortress, thinking he was pulling one over on the High Goblin tribal chief, snuck a party into the High Goblin tribal chief's fortress and stole a rune. And this rune was what he thought he could use to control the local goblin tribes. He thought it had some power over them. Well, what he did not realize was, yes, it did have some power, but it was actually a beacon. A beacon that the goblin tribal chief could use when he needed aid, and it would summon all goblins to him. And the call, just like a dog whistle, was irresistible to all goblins. Well, what happens? What do I call him? I think I call him like an arch warlock or something like that. The arch sorcerer, Zoldark, wanting to do just that, snuck into the bowels of the fortress, which had been sealed off. Once the original stronghold commander realized what the rune was actually doing was a beacon, he sealed it away in the keep below, the subterranean complex of rooms and passages below the stronghold, sealed the goblin rune away, and no one spoke of it for centuries. Well, the warlock Zoldark, knowing its power, somehow got down in there, activated it again. So right now, that castle back there is completely surrounded and under siege by goblins because Zoldark is down in the depths below the stronghold with the rune, and it's a beacon, an irresistible beacon. Goblins from tribes all over are swarming the stronghold of Fortress Baron Clawfang, and he knows that someone must have got down there. So he's sending a party of adventurers down there to investigate, to kill the warlock. Of course, at the time, they don't know it's the warlock who's doing it, but they're going down there to see what's going on. But it's a timed situation, because if the stronghold falls to the goblins, it doesn't matter anymore. So the heroes underground have to find out who's got the rune, why is the rune activated again, and they don't have a lot of time. They only have until just before the fortress falls to kill the warlock and release the power of the rune. So yeah, Sean, you saw that, huh? So here is the druid. I can't wait to get the druid going for Dicey Depths as well. This was another just painted figure. But I love this one. Let me show this one to you up close. Because, look at this. I love this druid figure because it's like she's summoning her animal companion, not really summoning, but almost like conjuring it, because it's this translucent like dove. And I love that idea. Because even before I saw this figure, that was kind of my whole inspiration. I was like, the next Dicey Depths hero, I want to have them be a druid, that can summon an animal companion. All right, so that was that. What else? Well, here's this. All right, folks, the last thing we need to do here is Solvix. Thank you so much. I know that figure is awesome. And I just picked that up kind of on a whim today. But the next thing we have to do is probably the least exciting thing of all. And that is with these new sleeves to sleeve my farm shop. This was the last thing that I had to do because if you saw, and I don't know how you would because I never advertise when I go live on Twitch. But I went on Twitch and I unboxed and unpunched my farm shop, and I did not have any sleeves in the Fantasy Flight sleeves that I always used. Unfortunately, Fantasy Flight's not making sleeves anymore. They're now under the banner known as Gamegenic, I believe. I believe this is the new Fantasy Flight sleeves. These do not look right at all. These are nowhere near. What? These are nowhere near the right sleeves. What the heck? Oh my gosh. I thought these looked big, but I swear I went on to that. Oh, no. These are completely wrong. These are completely wrong. Good God. What size cards are these? I swear I went to that website that gives you the size of sleeves, and it said that these were the ones, but there's no way. Yeah, it is 100% pain because these are in no way small enough. That's insane. What's that website? My Farm Shop sleeve size. So I would go to this website called sleeveyourgames.com, and it has basically any board game you can think of. My Farm Shop. Now, are there just different versions of My Farm Shop that have different size cards? Because this says 56 by 87, and these sleeves are 57 by 89. So that sounds right, right? There is no way this card is 87 millimeters. No way in the world is this card 87 millimeters. No, this card is like 66 millimeters. Are you kidding me? 66 mil by like 43 mil. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I was duped by sleeveyourgames.com. Sleeveyourgames.com. You think you can rely on information provided to you by a website called sleeveyourgames.com, but these are 100% the incorrect sleeves, and the card measurement on sleeveyourgames.com is completely inaccurate. These are 40 by 60 at best. All right, well, that solves that. We're going to have to do that another time. Let's see, which way does this go like this? Well, at least you got to take a peek inside the My Farm Shop box. All right. So that settles that. I know, someone must have put the info in wrong, right? I can't believe it, though. Like, it just seems so ridiculous. But I probably will end up needing these anyway. Alright, so I guess that's pretty much it. So I guess we can go on kind of a little tour. because I need to put some of this stuff away. So, as we start wrapping things up, what time is it? Well, we've been on for about an hour and a half, so that's pretty good. All right, so we have the sleeves. We have to go over to our sleeve center. And see, look how sad it looks. I used to have every kind of Fantasy Flight sleeve. Tarot size sleeve. This is my last pack of standard, the gray sleeves, which were in here. Then we have the purple sleeves. We have the yellow. We have the square. We have the green. And these are no good for now, but we'll stick them there for now. I think they're probably similar to those, but they're matte also. When I just kind of tested one of these, I actually don't think I like the fact that they're matte. I want to see the front and back of the card the same. Here we go. Look at all these dice. We've got so much dice. I know it almost looks like a shop, right? No, it's just my game room. So we have a couple more packs of dice to add to the dice section. I'm completely out of room on this countertop. We've got it completely full. Look at all this. We have some Warhammer Fantasy figures in there. We have just a whole bunch of sealed product, and of course we have an unbelievable amount of dice. So we're gonna have to start stacking them up here. But we also have loose dice. So if I need a D4 or a D8 or something, we can just go grab one of those. We have just a bunch of sealed stuff. Of course, I just keep my extras sealed to kind of give the illusion that we're in a game shop. But in reality, you know, I'll have an open version of these also. Let's see. Someone earlier, they're probably not here anymore. We're talking about old Ralpartha figures. The old medals. And yes, I absolutely love those. And no, I did not paint these myself. I got them painted. But even some of this, you know, kind of cardstock terrain. But of course, I'm much more of a fan of the miniature building authority stuff. But we also have all of this grid wall of figures still in their booster packs as well. And these pre-painted figures. Honestly, I do not play much RPGs, not a whole lot of role-playing games. It's mostly fantasy board games and tabletop miniature games. Now, someone was telling me the other day, the game that I created that I play the most is called Dicey Depths. It has a lot of role-playing elements to it, but it is mostly like just a miniature RPG hybrid, but lots of war games and stuff too. And of course other tabletop figures like Games Workshop stuff for Warhammer Fantasy. But a lot of board games, mostly board games, and we are running so much out of room. It's absolutely insane. This is kind of our overflow over here. Either over there or also under the TV down down below there. There's a bunch of games there too. But yeah, we have all of the Mage Knight figures still in their booster packs. All these drawers are just full of miniatures and dice and stuff like that. These figures, believe it or not, I painted myself. Can you believe it? I actually did paint, but mostly I like pre-paints, or I'll commission someone to paint figures for me. But here's the latest. This is the Fortress of Baron Clawfang, and this is our latest Dicey Depths adventure backstory. So right now, the goblins are absolutely besieging this fortress. There's Baron Clawfang in his keep right now. But yeah, they're coming in from all sides. And so the heroes have to get down into the dungeon and find out who has disturbed that rune, which is under the table right now. if we lift this up, the whole dungeon complex is under there because the top of the table lifts off and the dungeon is below. But otherwise, that's how things are looking right now. Of course, I'll do a much more in-depth game room tour down the line, but folks, I think that's going to do it. We emptied out a whole bunch of stuff. We have a whole army of miniature pre-painted figures that we picked up from Small Business Saturday. But I think that's going to do it. So, as always, folks, thank you all so much for watching. I do truly appreciate it. And until next time.